Greetings, all. Welcome to the Gaming Block Podcast, the number one podcast for all the pertinent video game news spanning across all platforms, including Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and more, except for today. I am your host, Andrew, and today I'm joined by one half of the bad boys of video games, Jake Ward. Now, in today's
Hello.
show, it's going to be a little different. So, we're recording this on February 24th. Roger had to leave home for a week.
He had to die for a week.
Something about his water or something. I don't know. He got affected by the cold storm, so he had to move for the week. And I was thinking we could just do the show as normal, but there's just honestly so much news coming out. It's kind of crazy and wild. And the biggest news story of last week was the Nintendo Direct, obviously. Um, a lot more things have happened with a lot more companies, a lot of rumors is going around. Sony has State of Play tomorrow, Thursday. So when this podcast is recording. So I figured that me and Jake would do a deep dive into this Nintendo Direct, maybe an hour, maybe longer, maybe shorter, however long it takes us. But we will go through the Nintendo Direct, tell you everything that was announced, and then, of course, give you our thoughts on all of it and the state of Nintendo right now. And of course, we will also be giving you the releases for this week, so we keep that tradition up. But other than that, Jake, I think that'll be it for this show. We won't all the normal rigmarole stuff. This is kind of a special episode, I guess you
Speed
could
run.
say. Yeah, it's a speed run episode. Well, I mean, we're not gonna rush through it, but we are gonna cut a lot of the other stuff out.
We're gonna film this and then we're gonna upload it at 2 times speed. So if you want to hear it in our normal beautiful voices,
Play
put
at
it
half
down to
speed.
half. It'll sound a little distorted, but for this special speed run episode, 2 times speed.
That'd be really fun. No, it's funny that you say that because my wavelengths on Zencaster are moving way faster than yours on my
Yeah,
screen. Like they're moving pretty fast, and yours are going really slow. So it's funny that you said that.
we're at 2 different wavelengths right now. The
We
Earth is
really
spinning
are.
slower where I am.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. It's
Probably
this
my monitor.
whole beta thing, Zencaster's doing a thing. Anyways,
Yeah.
before we do get into it, I guess we can say, I mean, you've been playing anything? Been doing anything fun?
I haven't really. I've kind of took a break from Shovel Knight. I not purposefully, but the Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury came out, so I've been playing that a bit off and on. I beat Bowser's Fury. I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah, I
Um,
think so.
but I've just been kind of playing through the original game now. I'm trying to 100% it. I'm not going to 100% the stamps because it's it's hard.
It's
I found out
ridiculous.
you don't have to get the final world. So basically, if you guys don't know, to get all the stamps, you have to beat every single level as every single character in the game, which is like, if you got a few friends and you want to play through that whole game together and you got to make sure everyone touches the flagpole at the end, great. I don't. um, and then once you beat the game, even if you have enough friends to beat it with all the characters initially, you have to play through at least one more time with Rosalina.
It
So
sucks.
I know, but it's fine. So like, it's cool because I found out while you do have to get all the stamps to unlock the final crown world, you don't need those 5 stamps. So I'm
Hmm.
not going to bother with it.
Well, that's cool. I
But
hate when
huh?
games pad for the sake of padding.
Yeah, I mean the other challenges, it's like it's weird because they're not that hard. It's just like get all the green stars, collect all the stamps, hit the top of the flagpole on every level. Like get the cat suit, you hit the top of the flagpole every time. Or you play as Peach, she just floats. Um, but yeah, it's just that one. I don't understand why they did that. I mean, it's kind of neat because you get this big stamp of the character's profile when you do it as them,
Hmm.
which would been cool on Miiverse as a bragging thing, but like
But now it's
that
like,
doesn't exist.
yeah, it
So,
kind of defeats the purpose. I guess it's cool to see yourself, but
hmm and that was the whole point of stamps. That's why they were in Twilight Princess HD. It was kind of a later life Wii U thing because not a lot of the earlier titles had it.
hmm.
But they really went all in like late life, and then like, immediately was like, Miiverse is dead.
Yeah, it sucks.
I think
Well,
we had like not even a whole year to enjoy the Twilight Princess stamps before they were just useless.
yeah, I forgot about that. Well, that's ironic that you're playing Mario because I too have been playing Mario. A different one though. I started and beat Mario Galaxy. It took like 3 days, I think.
Mhm.
Started it Monday and
No,
beat it
you didn't
today, Wednesday.
100% it though, right? You just
God
completed
no,
it.
God no. I don't. It takes a special game plus trophies usually for me to 100% things.
Hmm.
Um, the
Would
way
that?
Nintendo does it, I don't know. I don't know if there's any Nintendo game that I've 100%ed aside from like I know some Zelda games I have.
Mhm.
And those are pretty straightforward with their 100%. Everything else though, it's like there's no point. Honestly, I mean, we go back to this. If Nintendo just had an achievement system like everyone else, like
Mhm.
literally everyone else, except I guess Epic Game Store. So congrats Nintendo, you're on the same level as them. Everyone else though like has an
Origin.
achievement system. Origin does too.
Well,
So
never mind. Fuck me.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
Origin does.
I don't know.
I know Ubisoft does.
Probably.
Like I mean, a lot of they used to. Stadia, maybe. I don't know. Um,
See, Nintendo's just got that little star next to your profile. If you use that Tanuki suit, you ain't getting that star.
nope. Nope.
So
Sure not.
that's
So
that's how
yeah,
you know real men played that game, as if they got all the stars next to their profiles.
yeah. So, but I don't know. Like I beat Galaxy. It was good. It's probably like victim of its own hype because for the last 10 years, 10 plus years, all you heard is like, oh, Galaxy, one of the best Mario games, and it's like I played through. And I was like, yeah, this is good, but I don't know. I think I realized I'm not that big of a Mario fan. Like when I was playing it, I was like, yeah, this is Mario.
I think it was also because like at the time it was a very like
Well, yeah, like
Mario of
back.
epic scale that we haven't seen.
Well, I understand back when Galaxy released, there's still. It's weird to say, but there wasn't this much Mario.
Hmm.
Like, there's been so many fucking Mario titles the last 12 years alone. Like when
I mean, think
Galaxy
about
came
it.
out.
Like when Galaxy came out, like the only like 2D Mario that existed was the original New Super Mario Brothers. I don't think New Super Mario Brothers Wii had came out yet. Um,
Yeah, and then
so like,
because it was after that it just really started fucking getting out of control. So yeah, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I don't know. Probably I'll go back to one of my PlayStation games or maybe even Xbox. Honestly, I'm still in the middle of Doom Eternal. So
Persona 5 Strikers.
yeah, whenever I can go home when they're out of quarantine.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
they ship it here, man.
well, hindsight's, but yeah. So you know, might play something else. Who knows? School and work is always an issue.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah. So okay, well that's cool. And I guess we'll just hop into the news for the week, which, like I said at the beginning, we're just going to talk about. Obviously, there's more news that broke, and we'll talk about that on the next episode when Roger's here as well. But we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct, their first Direct in over a year, Jake, over a year and a half.
That wasn't it like 520 days or something like that.
So I'll go ahead and read. So what I'll do is I'll read this, and
Mhm.
then kind of like what we did with the movies and TV shows, we will go back and pick and choose what we actually want to talk more in depth. Sound good?
All right.
All right. So, number one, the Nintendo Direct. Last week, we got our first Nintendo Direct after over 500 days of waiting. Nintendo boasting a 50-minute long Direct along with the 35th anniversary of Zelda had a lot of high expectations. However, what resulted can be defined as lackluster at best. Over the 50-minute Direct, we got a whole bunch of ports, games we already knew about, or announcements that most fans just weren't wanting. I'll start off with the smaller announcements and work my way up to the big ones. Then we can dissect specific announcements as we please. To start off, the following games were announced to be coming to Switch within the next 6 months. These are all smaller games reports. These games include Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Outer Wilds, Samurai Warriors 5, Famicom. Is that how you say that?
Uh huh.
Yeah, Famicom Detective Club. Two games in there. Legend of Mana, Monster Hunter Rise, Mario Golf Super Rush, typo there, Tales of the Borderlands, Capcom Arcade Stadium, No More Heroes 3, DC Superhero Girls, Teen Power, that's all one title right there, Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville.
No,
It's
no,
like
this is the complete edition though.
complete edition. Yes, I was going to say
Mhm,
it's like Ultimate Complete Edition.
mhm.
Star Wars Hunters, a physical release of Hades, Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, and Apex Legends. Some updates to already released games, including a new Smash fighter for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate coming in the form of Pyra and Mithra, a 2-in-1 character, releasing sometime in March. And we learned that Animal Crossing New Horizons is getting Mario themed items, which should be out by the time you're listening to this podcast. Both Splatoon 3 and Project Triangle Strategy were announced, with release dates being sometime next year. Splatoon 3 being the sequel to 2017's Splatoon 2, and Project Triangle being the next project by the team that made 2018's Octopath Traveler. A demo for Project Triangle is available right now. To end the direct, Eiji Aonuma took the stage to talk about Zelda's 35th anniversary and to provide an update of the
Well,
sequel to
he
2017's
didn't
Breath
really
of the
talk about the
Wild,
anniversary.
or lack thereof any news.
Yeah.
We were told that there isn't any information right now. Instead, AEG showed off Skyward Sword HD, an HD port of 2011's Skyward Sword. Along with the HD graphics, the game has also been designed to support controller play, an option that wasn't available in any previous versions of the game. Those versions being, of course, the original Wii release, and then I guess you could say the virtual release on the Wii U.
Yeah, but that's just the same game. It just wasn't
Yeah,
story mode.
yeah, but I guess it's technically a different version, so you know,
I guess it's more so like they finally have it available to buy digitally because you couldn't do it on the Wii.
yeah. I mean, you know.
But I will say that was a bit disappointing because no news about Zelda. There's not even a mention of Zelda's 35th
So,
anniversary,
do you want to
and
start
Metroid
there?
didn't even get talked about.
Do you want to start at Zelda?
Oh yeah, I mean, might as well talk about
Because
the biggest elephant in the room.
it was probably it's probably been the thing of most contention
Hmm.
between Nintendo fans, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I've just seen the Nintendo fandom explode into a civil war on whether Nintendo is absolute shit or Nintendo is really great. um really no in betweens. Like, it's either people saying, oh no, it's good, it's fine, it's fine, it's great, or people saying it's absolute shit, it's terrible. I fall more in line on that was pretty bad. I mean, yeah,
I mean,
actually we
it
should
was.
start there. What do
I'd
you
say
think about the direct?
it was fine. Like it wasn't like anything like it didn't feel anything better than the minis that they'd given us, just longer.
Yeah,
Like I was like nothing was that great. Like Famicom Detective Club is cool. I don't like the pricing on it. Um, and that's
that's
got to be a running theme with a lot of
I was about to
this.
say a lot of this is
The Mario Golf was cool. Like I like the golf series, so that's fun. And I like the new thing that they're doing where you can, all the players can play at once and like race to the end. It kind of reminds me of a 100 foot tall robot golf because when you're playing that game, it's everyone's playing at the same time and you can kind of like get in the way of each other's shots and fight
know
each
what
other.
it
So,
reminds me of,
hmm.
and I realized this after the fact, but on Hot Shots Golf, when you play online, it's the same way,
Oh really?
where you're all golfing at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty neat.
Mhm. And the
But yeah,
golf series has been like, I mean, they had a Wii U entry, but it was just like if you ever played the Mario Tennis game on Wii U, it's not much like
hmm
it was very basic.
yeah.
So this,
So
they're finally getting it more interesting with their sports titles. I'd love to see Strikers come back, but that's a that or even Super Sluggers even I would take, but I don't think we're ever going to see those again for at least
sadly,
for a
yeah.
while.
Uh,
Maybe
getting
Super
back to
Sluggers, but
getting back to Zelda real quick. So yeah, it, first we got a slap in the face because he
Mhm.
walks out and says, "Hey, you're wanting Breath of the Wild too? Well, fuck off." It's like, okay,
well, I
dude,
mean, like I appreciate them just like at least acknowledging it rather than just not
I'd
saying
rather
anything.
them I'd rather them not say anything. Like,
Mhm.
don't say something just to say, "Well, it's not here." Like, I
I don't
think
think they
that's worse. I
I
think
think
it's
they want to
worse.
try to avoid what happened with Breath of the Wild, where they kept showing it off over and over and over again until it was like 4 years later and they
But
still hadn't released it.
the thing is, like, just go away. Like,
Hmm.
don't even mention it. Like, imagine
Like
if they kept
Metroid.
exactly. Like, imagine if they came out and said, "Hey, bet you're waiting for Metroid Prime 4."
Oh, I
Well, we
mean,
don't got anything.
they
Goodbye.
did do that.
It's like they
They
didn't do that. I
Yeah,
think
they
that's the
did.
right.
They had a video where they were like, "Yeah, well, we kind of screwed up the development of this, so we're gonna start over.
Not during the
Sorry."
direct though.
That was during a direct, wasn't it, or was it just a video they put out?
No, I'm saying right now, and
No,
that
not that. But I mean, they did the same thing with Metroid before, and that's what I'm saying. Not in this episode.
well, yeah, but
Direct.
that I still think that's a little different because they're saying, hey, we just want to let you know we're restarting. They didn't say anything here. They just said we're still working on it. Bye.
No, and there wasn't nary a mention of the 35th anniversary of either Zelda or Metroid.
Yeah, which
Which, listen,
Metroid's always been shafted. So
they're never gonna do. Nothing's happening with Metroid, and like Zelda has a much better chance than Metroid, but like even then, like
maybe,
it's not their Mario. I
yeah,
don't know if they care.
yeah. I was reading something about the 25th anniversary of Zelda, and
Hmm.
there was actually there was a collection planned for Wii at the
Hmm.
time, but since it was so close to Mario's 35th anniversary, I think it was Miyamoto that was like, no, no Zelda, just Mario. Like we
I mean,
can't do
because
both.
that's why we got the soundtrack and everything with Skyward Sword, right? Because it was close to the
I
anniversary. Like,
Yeah, I think so. It was like a we're sorry.
yeah.
um but yeah, they said like no Breath of the Wild 2, which I'm fine with, honestly. Like unlike I mean, you and me have talked about this. I'm not the biggest Breath of the Wild fan. Like I get it. I
Mhm.
get why people like it. To me, it's not a great Zelda game. I know that's also like what you're looking for in a Zelda game.
Still the
For
best game
me,
on the Switch,
it's
sadly.
it is one of the best games on the Switch.
Mhm.
That's more resulting in the Switch's library rather than the quality of Breath of the Wild.
Mhm.
Um, but they come out and they're like, no Breath of the Wild 2. It's like, that sucks. But instead, here's Skyward Sword HD.
Which, like, I've wanted that. I think like a lot of people wanted that. It's just not this way.
Yeah, I everyone wanted it in a collection. That was the thing. Everyone was
Yeah.
saying, give us a 3D collection like you
Like
did with
I get it.
Mario.
Like Wind Waker HD was $60. Twilight Princess HD is $60. It makes sense that this one would be also $60 if you're releasing it by itself. But
Yeah.
like, and I also like. I think it would have made it better if they would have been like, also here's a collection of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD.
Yeah,
Kind
just
of
give
like
us
what they
all
did
the
with the
games.
Mario 35th anniversary, where they're like, here's 3D All Stars, also Mario 3D World's coming separately later for $60.
Which I hate to be this guy, but I think that is still happening. I think
Mhm.
what they're doing, I think they learned from 10 years ago, and what they're doing now is they got all the Mario stuff out in the beginning. It's done. Like
Next
Mario
month, I think
35th.
they're gonna wait till the end of next month, where they're gonna hang Mario outside of Nintendo headquarters.
Well, I think
Um,
yeah. No, it'll probably be either an E3 or late
yeah,
fall
I feel like
announcement.
you would want to make something big. I mean, out of a Zelda anniversary, I
I mean,
think
Breath of the
I mean, we're
Wild is
definitely gonna get news for Breath of the
especially
Wild
now with
2.
Breath of the Wild being the juggernaut that it is, because
Hmm.
like that's the thing that a lot of people. Well, I mean, I guess even in the direct, it was so weird because Zelda's always been popular, of
Okay.
course, but with Breath of the Wild, it kind of hit a new stratosphere. I'm gonna
Hmm.
go ahead. I'm gonna do something unorthodox. I'm gonna get on my PC right now, and I'm gonna look up Breath of the Wild sales.
I mean, I work in retail, and it's as long as I can remember, as the Switch has been out, it's always been a game that people are constantly buying.
So
Like every time a Switch sells, so does Breath of the Wild.
this is from January 30th, 2020. From Silicon Era. I don't know. But it's saying that Breath of the Wild is nearing 18 million sales, which sounds
Jeez.
correct because I remember when the Switch was around 10 million. There's
Mhm.
that story where it's like it's almost 1 to 1. Like everyone that's getting a
No,
Switch is
there
getting
was
Breath of the
there were
Wild.
more copies of Breath of the Wild sold than there
Well,
were Switches at one
that was
point,
like yeah, 3 or 5 million when it first came out.
because people were buying the game and anticipate because it was easier to get the game than it was to Switch.
Yeah, so I believe that number, 18 million. The second highest one is Twilight Princess, which came out for both Wii and GameCube. And I know that Breath of the Wild came out for Wii U and Switch. 4 people bought it for Wii U.
I
Like
did.
you were one of those people.
I haven't opened it.
But Twilight Princess was the last one, and that was like at 9 million. And then
Now,
the
is
second
that
most popular,
combined total sales from the
yes,
re-releases and the original
yes.
one? Okay.
And then the second most popular one is Ocarina of Time. It's a right below 8 million. And then the next one is the original Legend of Zelda, right above 6 million. The rest are below that, or like 5 million or below. So
Also,
it's a
like,
popular franchise, but it's not Breath of the Wild
and
popular.
Skyward Sword was a low point for sales, wasn't it? Like, wasn't it like a big disappointment for as far as
Skyward
sales go?
S- Skyward Sword didn't even break 4 million, and it actually a lot of the Zelda titles. I mean, looking at this chart right here, since I do have
Mhm.
it up, you have Twilight Princess breaking 8 million, like almost to 9 million, which is really good.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, like everything's sitting around 4 million, and then Minish Cap was below 2 million. Phantom Hourglass was around that 4 million area, and then well, actually, the rest are around 3 to 4 million.
Mhm.
Which again, these are good sales. Like if you sell a game that's in 4 million, like that's
Man,
a
that's
success.
almost as much as Metroid's total entire sales ever.
Yeah, but Breath of the Wild has just crushed. It's at 18 million. That's insane. So it made sense because AJ Onuma, he came out and it was weird at first because it's like they were trying to sell us on Skyward Sword. It's like Skyward
Mhm.
Sword's been out forever. Everyone knows Skyward Sword, but it's like they're looking at these charts being like, hey, Skyward Sword sold 3.9 million. Breath of the Wild sold 18 million. That means there's 14 million people that bought Breath of the Wild that have never played Skyward Sword.
Mhm. And
So it
I'm
makes
assuming, like,
sense.
and I think they also, like, I think Eiji Aonuma has a soft spot for that game,
I don't think
and
so. I think what it is that I I mean maybe, but
I
I
mean, and
don't
the
think
game
that's what
is
it is.
important to Breath of the Wild's development too, because they learned a lot from that game, like what worked and what didn't,
Well,
and
yeah.
it had a lot of good ideas. But like, if you look at the development of that game, like it was in development hell for so long, and I'm pretty sure they started over within like the last 2 years before it came out, like from scratch.
Why shouldn't I do fucking one-to-one motion controls for your video game?
And like, so that game was really rushed. Um,
Mhm.
and at this point, like, too, because it's the same thing with like Mario Galaxy, like to a lesser extent with Mario Galaxy, but the motion controls were so integral to that game. Putting it on a console with optional motion controls makes it kind of awkward
I
when you're
thought
trying to.
Galaxy worked pretty well.
With Galaxy, they kind of figured that out, especially in like handheld mode. It's nice you can use the touchscreen to pick up the star bits, but
Yeah, I
uh,
never played on TV. I played exclusively handheld, so
it's great because the little cursor is. Honestly, the motion controls are so much better on the Switch than they are the Wii, even with
yeah,
the Wii Motion Plus. So I'm imagine the sword play is going to be great on Skyward Sword, but
hopefully.
that stick, I'm probably going to mainly play it with the stick controls.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried playing Skyward Sword
Hmm.
so many times, and it's every time it's just like the stupid fucking motion controls. Like
Hmm.
I hate it because it's just not accurate. It's
Yeah,
accurate for a while. It's like, oh, okay, this is working, and then it's not working, and it's like, it's so annoying. But
and
yeah, they were trying to sell like they were being like, look, he has a stamina thing like in Breath of the Wild,
mhm,
and look, you have crafting things like in Breath of the Wild. It's just like all these things
mhm.
like Breath of the Wild. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing here. You're trying to sell this game again to a whole new audience, which is smart. But I also think that this is a sign that they're going to also try this with other Zelda games. I think they are going to bring. I don't know about Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Those ones make the most sense because they are the
Like,
most modern.
it wouldn't make any sense to lock them to the Wii U.
At this point, well, I mean, they're not locked to the Wii U. They're
Like, they
locked to.
ported Pikmin 3. I feel like they would port those games
But
too.
Pikmin 3 is I mean, Pikmin 3 is not a port though. You're porting a
Yeah,
port at that point.
I know, but like,
Like at some point you gotta like be like, when's enough enough? Like
mhm.
go buy a Wii or a Wii U or a GameCube or something. Like, like
Or just
not
put
saying I don't
GameCube
want it.
games put
Obviously I would
GameCube
love
games
it.
on the Switch, you know?
Yeah, I know, right? Um, but I do think Twilight Princess and maybe Wind Waker have a good chance of ending
Listen,
up on the Switch before Breath of the Wild 2. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I don't know about.
I know for sure we're not gonna get Breath of the Wild 2 this year if we're getting,
Oh
uh,
no.
Skyward Sword this year.
I don't know what the fuck is going on with that game because I was certain that game was coming out like 2020. And then
Mhm.
I thought like, oh, COVID, they'll release in 2021. Now I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Because what they were making it seem like is, oh, it's the same map, it's the same world.
I wonder
Obviously, they're
if it
changing
just
some things.
I imagine like they just got kind of carried away, like with the last one, where they're just like, "Oh, we have these ideas now.
I
We want to
guess,
do these
but
ideas."
I hate that because it's like, I don't know.
That's the nice thing about
I'm
that
in a
team is it seems like they have a lot of creative freedom with
I'm
the
in a
Zelda franchise.
I'm in a post Zelda depression because the last now 3 titles, I'm like, this isn't my Zelda. Like,
I
I
mean the
I don't think.
Grezzo remake of Link's Awakening was really good. I thought.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about like classic Ocarina,
Oh yeah.
Majora's Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, like those 4 games, right? I mean, Skyward Sword obviously vastly different, Breath of the Wild vastly different, and then we're looking at these sales right here, like Breath of the Wild sold juggernauts. Of course, Breath of the Wild 2 is probably going to sell. At this point,
Probably
it's going
not.
to come out when the next Nintendo console or the Nintendo Pro comes out. There was this, I guess this is kind of related. There was a interview or something where they said the Switch is halfway through its life cycle. So I guess instead of making a new console, they are gonna just make a like new 3DS, a new Nintendo Switch or whatever.
Which makes sense
Um,
because with their handhelds, they generally keep them much
yeah,
longer than that
yeah.
normal lifespan that they stick to.
I was thinking more of it as a home console, not as
Mhm.
a handheld. So they'll
And
be
then
doing
I
they'll
think,
be doing that, and I'm assuming they'll launch the Pro version with Breath of the Wild 2. It makes the most sense.
yeah,
Um, but I think it's going to sell a lot, and it's just going to be more reason for them to never go back to the old formula, which makes me sad. Like it's cool that we have the top-down games still. I think those will continue in some way,
mhm,
but like that classic Zelda, and also like you said, I bet you they took a lot of that criticism to heart because even if
mhm,
they got 10s out of 10s everywhere, Nintendo's always got 10 out of 10s. It doesn't really mean anything to them anymore because they know they're going to get it.
mhm,
They're still trying to like look at what they can improve, and I'm sure they heard loud and clear. A lot of people were like, where are the traditional dungeons? Like
mhm,
this is a good foundation, but you need to actually like start something with it. I just think back to when I first heard about Breath of the Wild. I thought like, oh, this is going to be like an open world Zelda game where you find the hook shot, and like there's the dungeon and you go to the dungeon anytime, but you need the hook shot. So you got to go find the hook shot first. And it's not like, you have to do this then that. Like you can get the hook shot anywhere anytime, and then you like hook shot to the side of a cliff. Um I
honestly,
think
like thinking about like the hook shot in Breath of the Wild, that'd have been so cool. It would have helped a lot during like rain
and that's another thing too.
if you could hook it to anything that is not
It's
just wood.
I mean, this is going to a deeper subject of Breath of the
Mhm.
Wild. It's more of a concept than a game. It
Yeah,
was more of like a what can we do? And it's like, okay, you made a world, you forgot to make the game. you know?
yeah.
Like
I
so
think like honestly, I think it just got to the point where it was in development for so long. Where they were like, okay,
you gotta
like
ship it
we got
sometime.
to get this out. Like I don't think they necessarily compromised what their original vision was, but I think they were like, this is a good starting point for a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, like they got the story they wanted in there in one way or another. It's kind of controversial how that story worked. I think it was fine. It was confusing if you found them out of order. But thanks to the
You
internet age,
found them.
you can find them in the right order.
Or you
Uh,
could just watch them, rewatch them. But
yeah.
even then, it was like, it was not like the story was great at all.
Mhm.
Like, dude, honestly, if it weren't for the memes of Mifa, I wouldn't know who she is. Same with
Yeah.
all the rest. Like, I don't know those characters.
What about Prince Sidon?
I don't know. Like he's Prince Sidon is so weird because it's like people made such a big fucking deal about him because he's like tall and masculine or whatever.
He's
He's in there for like 2 minutes.
he's best boy.
Like he does nothing,
You get
and
to ride on his back while fighting an elephant.
it just made me upset. I was like, this is so half baked and shallow, but everyone's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It's like
I just think it was refreshing, and I think it's also because of Skyward Sword. They were wanting to like expand on what Zelda could be,
I don't know. I think
more
it got the
so.
I think it got the Zelda boost, the Nintendo boost of, oh, you're Nintendo Zelda automatically plus 2 points. Like there's a lot of open world games. I would argue that GTA 5 is a better open world game than Zelda. Like There's a lot that you can do there. But again, it's like it's the Legend of Zelda. So, it's like, oh, this isn't an open world game. This is a Zelda open world game,
Mhm.
which automatically does make it more intriguing, interesting, and
I will say,
fun.
like, open world games have a hard time keeping me like in it, and I sat down and played that game for like over 200 hours.
Oh, I did too.
Like I was glued to that game.
Know what's the wild thing though? And I don't know if
Mhm.
you've tried this.
The breath.
And I'm not saying that everyone else is like this, but have you tried to go back and play through it again?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're gonna like go on about here, but yeah, I started playing it again. But it's just one of those games where it's like once you beat it, I don't really want to play through it again.
Well, know what I was thinking?
Hmm.
I think so many people had such an attachment to this game
Hmm.
because it was a launch game, you know?
Um, I mean,
Because people wanted to play on the Switch, and there was, if you recall, there was nothing. One,
hey,
two,
hey,
it was
hey!
1-2 Switch
There
in
was
this.
Super Bomberman R.
My point exactly. There was nothing for like the first 3 months. We had nothing except Zelda. So I
Yeah.
think people were excited to play a new console.
Well,
Zelda
hey,
had that
listen,
hook of a lot of things to do in it.
we
They
also got
weren't
Shovel Knight.
they weren't necessarily the most interesting things, but they were things to do. So it's like, oh, I want to keep playing this console. This game is pretty. It's fun to play. There's a little carrot on the stick. I'm gonna keep playing it. But
I think.
now I feel like no one plays Zelda anymore. Like I don't know about you, but I feel like people back in the day were even when the Wii was like the Wii U was happening before the HD ports, people were still talking about like Twilight Princess and fucking what's the other one? The
People
boat
hated
one.
Twilight Princess for the longest time. Same with Wind Waker. Like
I
that's
know,
the thing.
right?
Like anytime Zelda comes up in like conversation, it's like, oh, that one sucked.
Yeah, I
And
know.
then the next one comes out, and I'm like, oh, we loved that one though. This one
Except with
sucks.
Skyward Sword. No
Yeah,
one was like, "Oh, we love that one now."
I hear more positive things about it as of late,
That's
rather
weird.
than how much
I
I heard people hate. Like it was so much louder the
whoever
hate for it
whoever's
before.
fucking saying that is not they need to go back and play it because
Bomb
it's
bullying.
yeah, bomb bowling exactly.
But I will say, I think the biggest like f- plus that Breath of the Wild had for me was just like the sense of wonder going into that world. Like I haven't had in a game for like a long time. Like it was so fun to like explore and find all like the little secrets in the world and all the references to other Zelda games in there.
Yeah, mhm.
Like it was just a really
I
cool like
remember like
every.
at the beginning it's like, "Oh, if you ride on your horse at this area at night, it starts
Mhm,
playing the original theme." Like shit like that. It's like, "That's awesome."
and
Like
like
it's so cool.
like it felt like every corner of that world had purpose, which
Ye- yes, but
or
it
it
was
led
also
to
like
something.
was this purposeful, you know? It's like every
Yeah,
corner
I
did
mean,
have something, but it's like at the end of the day, I personally I was like
like it didn't feel like
90% of
anything
that
was
was
designed just to be there.
yeah, yeah. There's
And
they always put a little secret there.
which is the problem with a lot of open world games I have is that there's just space to have space because open world game.
Yeah, mhm.
Like with Grand Theft Auto earlier, like it's a huge map, but there's like nothing to do in 75% of that map. Like no one goes north in that game. You're always in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's I whenever I play that game, it sucks being up in the north part because there's nothing to do up there except run in the woods and fall down a mountain. Um,
Yeah.
but in Breath of the Wild, it's like you have such a range of options. You can climb everything. If there's a chasm, you can cut a tree down and walk across it. It was just kind of neat little things like that. And then there was the island out in the middle of the ocean where you had that challenge where everything gets taken away from you.
Mhm.
Like that was neat finding that and being like, oh, cool.
Yeah, mhm.
It's just I don't know. It's say what you will about the shrines. I didn't really get tired of them. There's a lot. I think,
120.
but I think it was cool. The reward at the end was cool, like worth it because you got the original, like you got the Zelda outfit for Breath of the Wild. So like you
Yeah.
earned it rather
That
than
was
just
an
being having it given it to you.
that was another thing. Was like I get I again, I understand that they were like exploration. You explore, you get rewarded,
Hmm.
but at the same time, it's like okay, Zelda game. You get the tunic, you get the shield, you get the master sword. And again, you can do this. You can get all three of those things,
Hmm.
but at the same
You got to
time,
work for it.
Well, it's not even you got to work for it. Sometimes it's just like, oh, it's in the basement.
Hmm.
That's where the
Well,
shield is.
the shield was like you have to like if you wouldn't just know to go there and do that. You would either have to explore the castle and happen upon it, or like there is an NPC in the world that will tell you like, hey, there's this like really tough shield that I've heard about that's inside the basement of Castle Hyrule.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, cool.
But
And
like,
I found that after I found the shield already, but I was like, oh, that's neat. People,
but
it's like a legend.
but because of things like that, I feel like it was just missing those Zelda moments. It's
Hmm.
missing those moments. There was no like those boss battle moments. That doesn't happen. Those character moments.
Hmm.
Those like epic moments where Link, you finally get the tunic, you finally get the Master Sword and the shield, and he fucking raises it up. That never happens in this game, and that's what I'm missing from this Zelda game that I
Did you
wanted in the
ever
rest of them.
play any of the DLC for it?
A little bit, yeah. Not much though.
The Master
Like,
Sword one wasn't great, but the Ballad of the Champions one was probably like the best one. Like, or,
yeah,
I mean, there's only two, but like it was the most
better.
worth playing.
Yeah.
Like you got a bit more insight to like your relationship with the champions, which was nice. And then like at the end, you unlock this like photo of all you guys together, and it's kind of like, oh, this is nice. And then the challenges are really fun too because you get this item that kills everything in one hit.
Oh, I did that one. It
But
was
yeah, oh,
that
you
one.
did that one, yeah, yeah. But then
Yeah.
you die in one hit too.
Yeah, I got annoyed because it was the thing where like I hadn't played in like 8 months, and then I came back. I was like, "How the fuck do you play this?" I just kept getting one shotted. I was like, "God damn it, I quit.
See,
I'm
the only
done."
the only disappointing thing about that DLC was that you couldn't keep that weapon. So it was only during that one trial, and
Yeah.
then it was gone.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, that's another thing. I don't know. Make it a potion. Make it a fucking human sacrifice. I don't care. Let me not have weapon degradation.
mhm.
Like I hate that. That was
I
so
like
annoying.
I get the idea behind it though. They wanted you to not get stuck on a single fighting style. They wanted
But
you
then
to
you
experiment and
never.
try different weapons.
But then never use the weapons. Dude, I never used the Highland shield ever because I was
Really?
like, because it was like, oh, it's not invincible, it can break. I'm not using it.
See, I think the one downside was that there's no way to repair things other than like I think you could certain ones you can throw in an Octorok's mouth and it would shoot it back at you like repaired.
Hmm.
But I think if there was a blacksmith that could repair things, if you had the right
Or like,
materials for it,
what if there's like a blacksmith where it's like, oh, if you bring these ores and this, it'll make it invincible. You know,
or like
or something like that.
if you find certain items, then it's unlocked at the blacksmith for him to make for you. That would have been
Yeah,
neat. I don't
but
think the
even then, if you
degradation.
have to keep going back and forth, like, oh, my favorite sword broke, now I just got fast travel to the blacksmith and fast travel back here. It's like I'm gonna do that every time, so you're just wasting my time at that point.
But I
If you
think.
did something like that where you still have to experiment because you don't unlock that right away, so you still have to use whatever you can. But then
Mhm,
halfway through the game, it's like, hey, you can make it invincible now. It won't break. It's like, okay, I've tried all these weapons. I've realized that I don't really like the broom. It's not that great.
mhm. Or the
So,
spoon or the ladle.
or the ladle. So I'm gonna use the tree branch and make it invincible.
Like
And
the thing is, like I everyone seems to hate the degradation. I liked it. I think it did make sense on the Master Sword. That was the only one I thought was like, eh. But
because they didn't want you using the masters. I don't know. It's
yeah,
just
I understand the philosophy behind it. I think it can work.
I
I
just hated it.
understand people that didn't like it. I thought it was fun. I liked the like thought of like, oh, I'm in this like intense battle. This good weapon I have is about to break. I gotta find like something
Yeah.
else. Like I
And
gotta
it
scrap through this. And like you had them arrows. Like if I was ever in a tense situation, I'd just start like up close shooting people with the bow and arrow.
I mean it's like you said,
Mhm,
I feel like even that's half baked. I feel like it's all like or not even half baked, but like it's a good foundation,
mhm,
but they just didn't like having that where hey, we want people to try all these different weapons. That's a good
mhm,
foundation. But then people are going to get annoyed by this. So what do? Make an upgrade system.
mhm.
Maybe don't make it invincible, but you can
Which
power it up to where it's a hell of a lot stronger. It will break eventually, but it's going to take a lot to break it. Like you can power it up, you know?
which they had an upgrade system, but just for the armor.
Yeah, mhm. For the
Which I
armor.
think
And
it
then
would like because I was kind of sad because I went to the fairy fountain and I was like before like I had enough of whatever it was to make them pop out.
Mhm.
Or I can't remember exactly what you had to do that, but I went up to the fountain. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is like in Link to the Past. And I threw my shield in there, and I was just like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Um,
oh, that's sad.
and same with like side quests. There was obviously Terrytown was great.
Hmm.
But I struggled to think of any other that was good. The rest were just bland, boring. Oh, I need this. Oh, give me this. Uh,
And I think Breath of the Wild and also Mario Odyssey, just kind of Nintendo's philosophy of making like their games, and I don't think they're going to continue this philosophy. Was that like there's a lot of stuff to do, but we're not making these games for you to 100% them.
yeah,
I don't
and
think I don't think Breath of the Wild is one of those games where it's meant to 100%
oh,
every
definitely
side quest
not.
and everything.
Especially with
It's
the
just to be like if you happen upon one, here's a thing to do. Like, oh, that's cool.
yeah, and for some reasons I like that, but then other reasons I hate that because it's like you're not respecting the player's time. Like
Hmm.
if there's no end goal for this, you're kind of wasting my time.
Hmm.
Because getting some of the upgrades are cool, but like inherently people are going to want to 100% it. And if you have nothing there, it's like, what's the point?
Hmm.
There's no point. You would get
You get
golden
a big
poo at
pile of
the end.
poop.
Get
Yeah.
big pop poo. So, yeah, I don't know. But I
I
mean,
think
all
I
this
think
is
they're gonna take all the criticism that they got from Breath of the Wild and all the praise and everything they learned from making that game,
I
um,
hope.
and put that towards Breath of the Wild too, or else it'd already be out. I think it would already
True.
be out if they were just gonna like slap the same world on there, add a few dungeons, it would be out already.
Maybe.
I
I don't
think.
know. It goes back to what we've been saying about Nintendo.
Mhm.
I feel like something's up there. Something's wrong at Nintendo. Where's the next Mario Kart? Why
Well, they
has it
got
been so
deluxe.
long? Like where are these games that we've heard about that are just they're off the face of the planet? Why are we getting Metopia and not
Yeah,
something?
that was something I wanted to talk about too. How
Oh
like
yeah, I didn't mention that, did I?
mhm,
Huh,
no,
my
that
bad.
was Grezzo's big game that people were talking about.
Like I get we can we'll go ahead and transition. I mean, long
Mhm.
story short is Skyward Sword HD is coming out. Pretty fucking lackluster way to start the 35th anniversary, in my opinion. I guess something worse could be if they're like Spirit Tracks. I'd be like, oh fucking god.
I just want to say, when Skyward Sword first came out, it was the 25th anniversary. It came with the soundtrack, like from the Symphony of the Goddess, and a gold Wii remote
Yeah, it did.
for $50. Those Wii remotes cost $50 at the time, and had Wii Motion Plus built in as well. And then this one is $60, and you can buy $80 tie-in Joy Cons.
Yep, $80 or $60 for this game,
Mm-hmm.
and people are defending it, of course, because
Like it
Nintendo
makes
fans
like
are they
I'm not
love
defending it.
punishment.
It makes sense as to what Nintendo's pricing point has been, and I didn't expect it to be cheaper than $60. So I wasn't, upset when they said it was, but I'm not happy.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
think especially after the precedent that the 3D All Stars collection
I mean
said of like, here we're giving you 3 games for $60 in HD, by the
they
way,
made us pay
like
$60 for Link's Awakening.
Mario Galaxy. That was a Wii game turned HD. That had motion controls that they had to like everything people are defending with Skyward Sword. Like they had to go back and fix the controls, and it's in HD. It's now
Like
so
they
was
did all that
Galaxy.
with Galaxy, and
Plus two other games, by the
yeah,
way.
and they
Like
updated all the textures in Mario 64, and they made Mario Sunshine 16:9.
I don't know why people think it's a lot of work to make a game HD because it's not.
Especially like Skyward Sword, it's the same models. Like they didn't
Games
change
are
anything.
inherently HD and then they get down res because they're built off PCs. Like
Mhm.
they're HD and then they have to DHD them by
I will
when they
say
put them on the console.
they did make it 60 frames per second. I'll give them that,
They unlock the frame rate. Whoa.
which they didn't do for all of the Mario games in the 3D collection.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed. So
Galaxy, yes. The other two, no.
I
Even
think
though
that's
Mario 6 Sunshine was supposed to be 60 frames, and then for whatever reason they changed it right at launch.
dude. They fuck something up.
Not the new one, the original release of it, and then
Yeah.
they could have just done it on the
So,
new one, but no.
anyways, so that's it for Zelda. I'm disappointed.
Mhm.
Andrew's sad, but it doesn't really matter.
I
Yeah,
mean,
let's go ahead and
we still got the rest of the year. It's early. We're 2 months in.
yeah.
They
Um,
said there's more news to come, so we'll hold our breath until then.
I will not hold my breath of the wild. I will wait patiently. Do you want to jump into Metopia and all these other little games, or would you rather do like the DLC, or do you want to talk about the two other far out games? Like, which would you want to do
um,
next?
what do you mean by DLC? Oh yeah,
Uh,
the Smash Brothers.
yeah,
I mean, I don't really have much to say about Smash Brothers. I mean, it's Pyra and Mithra. That's cool.
it's another
But
anime sword fighter.
it's the return of a transforming fighter, which is neat. We haven't had one of those since Brawl. Um,
Oh my
so
gosh, that was another thing where I saw people were like, of course, this was another thing. This whole direct was just really negatively taken, which is weird because usually I'm the one being like, "Oh, this sucks," but then I was like, "Oh wait, people are saying it too. What?" You know, like,
yeah,
um, but this announcement, definitely, I would say the antipode to Sephiroth. I feel like everyone pretty much was like Sephiroth, pretty freaking
and that's the
anime
thing. Like,
sword fighter.
how do you top Sephiroth? Really?
Apparently, you fucking go to the bottom of the well.
Because the thing is, like, I get it. Because like Rex was kind of uh, like seen as a weird omission from Smash Ultimate. It
Yeah,
was kind of like we got Shulk in the last one. We're gonna get Rex for more Xenoblade representation, which
I
it's
just
kind of weird that it's not Rex. It's weird that it's the sword using her sword that is her as
well,
the character.
I don't know.
Um,
I've so first, have you played Xenoblade Chronicles 2?
I played a little bit of it. But I didn't really
Me
get
as
into
well.
it. I didn't like how it just auto combats.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into that.
So from what I've understood about
Mhm.
this is that Pyra is very over sexualized, and a
I mean,
lot of the
everything in
girls
that game is.
is a lot of the girls are very over sexualized.
Hmm.
So this seems to be targeted at that audience.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's a first party, which already kind of sucks.
Hmm.
And then it's like it is a sword fighter and it is an anime character. And
Hmm.
while that is like the running meme, there is some truth in it. It was like, can
And the
we
thing
get
is, though,
something
at
different?
some point, like, there's a lot of sword wielding video game characters.
Yeah.
It's like they either got a sword, they got a gun, or they punch.
No, what's funny though,
Um,
uh, I saw this like fan mock-up of Tony Hawk was announced for Switch, which we'll talk about in the next episode.
Ooh, that'd be great.
But then someone's like, "Oh, look, that means he's coming to Smash," Nintendo logic, whatever. I was like, "Okay, hold up though, that'd be fucking cool. Like, if you
Oh
pull
yeah,
out a skateboard and use that to find stuff, like you could be creative with it. You don't
but
have to be so boring and so the similar. So it's so
but
similar. This might as well be
Sakurai,
Fire Emblem."
because Sakurai said the only characters to get out of Smash Brothers are those who originate in a video game, and Tony Hawk does not originate from video game. He originates from real.
That's such a stupid excuse.
Yeah, I know, but like, it would be kind of odd to just have
I
like
think,
Tony Hawk. It's
dude,
a
like,
weird addition to the
I
roster.
think it'd be okay,
It
but
would
we
be
got the fucking plant. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
I mean, that
At the
fits in.
at that point, I feel like all the cards were like off the table. You could do anything.
Oh yeah, I still like it has every fighter from this new DLC pack been a sword fighter because we got Steve, we got Sephiroth, and then we got
Min Min was the first one. She's not.
Min Min. Okay, she's a punchy. So yeah, everyone but her has been a sword fighter.
And then last season, I can't even remember. I know that the fucking Fire Emblem chick, and that's another thing is that Pyra and Mithra, they feel like Fire Emblem characters.
I mean, not really. They're a little bit more colorful.
I guess, yeah.
I will say though, like I think that the way she looks like how she her fighting style is interesting. I like the transforming mechanic. That's gonna be. I think she'll be a fun character to play as always. I think like it's not gonna be a bad character
Oh,
addition.
that's what it was. So yeah, I saw people being like, "Oh, you're mad that she's transforming? Well, look at Zelda." I was like, "Dude, Zelda hasn't transformed
Since
in
Brawl.
like 3 games. Shut up, you stupid idiot."
Which I was fully expecting them to bring her transforming back to um,
Mhm.
Ultimate because they did it with the Pokemon trainer. So
With Charizard. Yeah.
yeah, which is sad because Charizard was kind of good on his own.
Dude, his down B was awesome.
Oh my god, I know. Which I feel like they could have made the transformation in like one of the taunt buttons that transforms you rather than take away a moveset. But yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. Um,
Fighting
but
game logic, I guess, I don't know.
it looks like it's just a better Shulk is what it is because it has the time like counter when you play as Mithra. Um, So I don't
I
know.
mean, what should I shouldn't even be complaining. I got fucking Joker as the very first
Yeah,
ones.
and you
Like,
got Sephiroth and Cloud in there too, man.
yeah, so I have no
I
I got
honestly
Persona
at this
in
point I don't
Smash.
know who else I'd want
I think
other than like
Crash
Crash
is like
Bandicoot.
that's like the one is
And
Crash.
I also I kind of feel like they might just save him till the end. Like if they're gonna put Crash in there, could be their
Yeah.
last one.
And
Like
obviously, you hear about like, oh, Halo and Doom Guy. I think those ones are really pipe dreams. I think Crash
Doom
Bandicoot
Guy'd be
makes
cool, but
sense.
I don't know if those worlds really. I'm Snake is a rated M character, but he's not Doom rated M character.
I mean,
like
Doom is big on Switch.
yeah,
They keep
Bethesda,
porting those
my buddies.
games.
Put Skyrim dude on there. Put the Dragonborn,
That'd be cool. Like he could use his shout as something like
or put the Pip Boy.
I think Sakurai is done with Smash and he's
Mhm.
really phoning it in.
Well,
Because
I think a lot of these have been also like requested by Nintendo because like he was saying like with the
yeah, mm-hmm,
like Steve, like it didn't even seem like he was the one who wanted to put him in there,
yeah.
but he did it and he did it right. Like he put Steve in there.
Steve's cool. Yeah.
Um,
So
so he really wanted to put Byleth in there. I could tell he he put Byleth in there before Byleth was even like established in the game that
yeah, the game
she
had
came
like just released or something.
like he got like pre-release like alpha builds of the game to base her off of or him off of whatever gender you choose.
Both, yeah. So
Um,
yep.
so I
Cool
think
stuff,
I
I
mean,
guess.
there's no lie that he's a Fire Emblem fan. Like he's
Oh,
the only
yeah, of
reason
course.
why Marth and Roy ever even had a chance of
He
being in
fucking
Melee.
he started saying a history of Fire Emblem in the character reveal.
Yeah,
He's like, "Hey, let me tell you about Fire Emblem now." It's like,
I will say
okay.
I think Sakurai single-handedly saved the Fire Emblem franchise because
Yeah,
it exposed it to the West.
I would agree. I would
So
agree.
fuck Advance Wars.
Along with this, we also got that Animal Crossing
Yeah,
Mario
yeah. Which
3D.
that's cool. The only thing about that's cool is the warp pipe. It's very like that's great. That's a really cool functionality thing in the game.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going back to Animal Crossing anytime soon. So,
No,
nah,
I mean someday I'll come back. I know like I'll get that itch probably this spring to play it again.
yeah.
Um,
1 year anniversary.
mhm.
Start getting 1 year anniversary of COVID to be like, huh, I feel like Animal Crossing again.
And we're about at the same numbers.
Yep. So that's cool. Splatoon 3. Do you
You
care?
know I care. I like Splatoon. I'm excited. I want to know more of what
Jake,
like.
is Splatoon 3 just Splatoon 2.0,
Well, that remains to be seen.
Which is just Splatoon 1.0?
The multiplayer, yes. I mean, like obviously they've made additions like new weapons, but that those totally could have been added to two. But I think it remains to be seen what they do with the single player for me to be like super excited for this, because if like there's more to that like segment where like there's the destroyed Eiffel Tower and all that,
Hmm.
then like just that'll be really cool. Because there's always been hints in like because if you ever like dig deep into the single player, it's like pretty straightforward that it's a post-apocalyptic Earth
Yeah,
and that these like creatures have evolved from the remnants of whatever was left from like a nuclear holocaust.
that's cool.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I want to. It's like with Adventure Time. Like I don't. I stopped watching that show, but there was always that hint. Like there was a like some shit got fucked up at some point in the real world, and then all that happened. This like weird gumball world
Hmm.
emerged from it. So I've always liked that kind of storytelling.
Yeah,
I would like in with the Octo expansion, they kind of dug a little bit more into the lore of um, Splatoon, but they've never really went like full on with the single player stuff. So
yeah.
I'd like to see like a real focus on the single player now that they have a really established multiplayer because
Hmm.
you don't have to do much there. Make some new maps, add some weapons. Like
Yeah.
balancing is important.
I was surprised that they announced this. I guess it's coming out in 2022, so that'd be 5 years. So I guess yeah, that's about time for a sequel. It's just I'm never cared
Watch
about
us
Splatoon.
next year. We get Splatoon 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Arms 2, and Mario Kart 8 Triple
Dude,
Deluxe.
I'd be down for another fucking Arms.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, like I honestly with the addition of Min Min to Smash, I mean we could get something more from Arms. I thought it was just dead in the water. Like I didn't think they were ever going to acknowledge it again after that.
yeah, I hope so. And then we had this Project Triangle, which is
Hmm.
the it's not a sequel, but it's like a spiritual successor to Octopath Traveler.
Oh, I wouldn't even
Um,
say that. It's just made in the same style as it.
yeah. Hmm.
It's more
Well, I
so
mean,
like
well, it's
a
also like,
tactical RPG.
well, the gameplay is tactical, yeah, but they're also like they're doing this. They're doing the thing, yeah, where like three stories interwoven or something.
Hmm.
The
I
the Salt Iron Wars. Salt Iron.
I I I think it'll be good. I'm sure it'll be
Did you
good.
play the demo?
I didn't.
I did.
Did you like it?
No.
Okay.
And
Um,
I like Final Fantasy Tactics. I like tactic games. And I don't know what it was, man, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't the it's weird cuz that game is like the engine's known for being really pretty.
mhm,
And the same thing kind of happened with Octopath Traveler where I played this game and I never beat Octopath Traveler because it was like, well, A, it was like no substance. It was cool. Like the concept was cool, but in the end, it was really the same story. You just start at different places and can choose to recruit them different
mhm,
times. That's it. It's always the same story. And maybe something with the ending. I'm not sure, but the graphics were so distracting because it was like so bright and the
mhm,
contrast was off sometimes, and things were it was a little too much,
mhm.
and it's the same thing with this Project Triangle. It was just like it felt sluggish, and maybe it's because I was on the Joy Cons and not the Pro controller. But people are going to play with the Joy Cons in handheld mode anyway, so it shouldn't feel that way. And I know this is like an alpha build, but if you're going to release any form of demo, make sure it's good. Like, make sure it feels good.
Well, they did the thing that they love to do and tell us how to play the game for like half the direct.
Yeah, and it's the same thing when you start. You had the fucking like whatever that British lady or whatever it was. She was like, "In Project Triangle,
Give
you
us
must
feedback.
do the yeah, and please play the game and
Take
give
our
us
survey.
feedback." It's like this team at Square Enix doesn't know how to make a game. So they're like, "Please tell us how to make a game." It's like, why don't you just make a game? Like, stop asking people to give you feedback. You're literally the people that made tactic games great.
Hmm.
So
Swear got
go
a
ask
lot
your
of stuff announced to this.
dude. Square was this was this was like the weeaboo's dream direct.
Like
And
we got,
I like anime. I'm a fan of an anime game here and there. I own a lot of them, but this was too much. Like,
yeah,
you got to have some variety,
like
man.
we had like what Bravely Default 2. We had Legend of Mana, which is another tactics based game. Um, we got uh, the Triangle game.
Dude, there's a fucking another one that was like it was like an older
There was a
game.
remake, which almost it sounds like Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, where like the 8 players, but then there was like some other dude. I don't know
They've
what list,
added a story
whatever
to it.
website I got all this list
It
from.
looks
It did
bad
not
though.
have
Like
everyone.
it looks like they took the original game and they like s- smeared the graphics on everything, so it looks like it's a
Hmm.
Flash game rather than like really good pixel work. Which
Classic Square
I
move.
don't get why Square hates pixel based games, but also really loves them at the same time.
My assumption and my educated guess is that these games release on a lot of different platforms,
Mhm.
and the pixels, like pixel sprites, when you move it from like uh whatever a phone dimension screen is to a PC screen to a TV screen to a Switch screen, the aspect ratio is all off.
Mhm.
So when you stretch a thing that looks like Flash, it looks okay. When you stretch the pixels, it fucks with it. That's just an assumption. That's my
I mean, like
educated
if
guess.
you play like an NES game on any of those things, they always look good.
Yeah, but it's not like when you play an NES game, it'll keep the same aspect ratio.
Hmm.
It doesn't go full screen, and I think or widescreen. I am pretty sure like all these games will go full or wide, no matter which way you play them.
Uh-huh.
So that's just a guess, though. I don't know. It's
I think
cheaper too.
it's
I have no
crazy
idea.
how Legend of Mana got updated full HD background art, but Final Fantasy VIII didn't.
Yeah. No shit.
I mean, they lost it. I mean that's known that they lost those
Hmm.
backgrounds, but like I think they AI and they did the AI enhancements for Legend of Mana, whereas they could have done it for Final Fantasy VIII and they just didn't.
Yeah, I don't, dude. There, there's no reason to the chaos over at Square
Like
Enix.
remakes at Square, like they're just like they vary wildly in quality. Like Secret of Mana was like, how did you like, why is this game like this? It's like a mobile game, but it's on
Mhm.
PS4 exclusively. Um,
So, I'm
and then or
looking.
Vita. It was on the Vita too. That's probably why.
Yeah.
But then like Legend of Mana comes out, and that's on the Switch, and it's good. Or not Legend of Mana, but Trials of Mana.
Trials of Mana, yeah.
Like how like I don't get it. Like why is that one the one? Like I know people love Secret of Mana 2 or Trials of Mana, the original one, oftentimes more so than the original Secret of Mana, but like that never came out in the West. Why is that one getting more love for its remake than this other one?
Yeah, I don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know. It doesn't make
Um,
sense.
I'm looking at this game though, and this was or not this game, this fucking docket feels like a game Nintendo's playing with us. And I'm just reminded, I felt like this direct was such a waste of time. Like when
Oh
I
yeah.
was watching it, I was physically getting upset that I was sitting there watching this because they kept showing. So Fall Guys is out.
Hmm.
You can play right now. Outer World or Outer Wilds is out. You can play right now. Samurai Warriors 5 is out. You can play right now. Legend of Mana, you can play right now. Tales of the Borderlands, you can play. Um, Plants vs Zombies.
Monster Hunter Rise is coming out really soon, isn't it?
Yeah, like I think March or
We're
April.
getting, like, we actually, I shockingly we got the console here in the States. I didn't think we
Hmm.
were. I
Yeah.
thought we were just gonna get the controller, which we
Um,
also got. But like, that's cool. We're getting that.
when they announced a physical release of Hades, that really pissed me off. I was like, this game's out. You're announcing a box. Ninja
It's sort of
Gaiden collection, I guess that's kind of cool, but again, you can play all those games right now. Apex Legends is we knew that was happening. That was all over like train stations in Tokyo. Like they're doing a really big ad campaign for that. The
wait.
Star Wars
DC Superheroes Girls Team Power. That's
so
where it
bad.
peaked.
So that
That's
was
where the
such a bad trailer. $60
I
by the way.
I mean I'm buying it.
Okay,
You
have
can't
fun.
stop me.
That's weird.
I love it.
It looks like those old Bratz games, but with DC
Oh my gosh, it
superheroes.
does. That whole like franchise, the DC Superhero Girls. I think it's ugly.
Yeah, it's
Like
terrible.
I don't understand it. Like
I
the
don't know.
appeal of it. I don't like who's it for. I don't think little
I don't
girls
know.
like it.
I don't think so either.
It's not for. I don't. I'm not sure. I don't know what little girls like anymore. I'm 24.
Star Wars Hunters was exciting until you saw Zynga in the corner, and then it was
Oh,
immediately not
Zynga.
exciting.
I mean, I was excited for it until they said it was a online action, like always online game, and I'm like, all right,
It's supposed to be coming to mobile too and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, it's one of
like all
these.
right, this is Star Wars Fortnite, whatever.
Yep, not good.
I mean, it's even in a Coliseum. Like you can't even be more direct. It's a battle royale.
Yeah. The Famicom Detective Club
That
is
looks cool.
interesting because those are games we never got, right?
Mhm. Like
Japan only,
they were on the Famicom, of course, but this is like
of
a
course.
remake
Yeah.
of the Famicom games, which is
So
really
that's
cool. It looks like
cool.
there's a lot of effort put into like the animation and the like character portraits and everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, but the pricing is it's was it $40 for each of them?
Yeah, or like 50 to, or
But like
it's
but
like
you get
30 something. I think it's 30 each and 50 for both of them or something.
mhm.
I don't
It's
know.
really like
For
expensive.
NES games,
I
like
thought these were gonna be like $20 each.
dude, they're NES games. Like I know they're getting remade, but at the end of the day, it's an NES game, you know.
I mean,
So
I wouldn't expect it to be $5 or $10, but like I think $20 for each of them would have been fair.
15
Uh,
or 20, maybe
and
15, 30 for both. Like I think that's fair, but I don't know.
I thought they were going to be released like in one package. I didn't think they were going to do like a split release like that.
Mhm.
And also, I don't know if it's going to get physical. I don't think it is.
I don't think so either.
It doesn't even have an English dub. They said it's just English subs,
Yeah. So
which I mean, I understand that.
mhm.
I mean, I think most people that play those games don't even use the English dubs anyways. So
No, I don't think so. We talked about Mario Golf, not Gold. I have
yeah,
it written down as Mario
yeah.
Gold Super Rush. It's the Gold Rush Mario. Hey, that could be fun. Um,
It's a Wario game.
but yeah, Mario Golf. I don't. I was so. I think the problem is that we've been playing so much Hot Shots Golf here on the PS4, and that game looks pretty good. And then, dude, I mean, if there is a Switch Pro, they need to fucking release it now because every single one of these games, not one of them that I saw was I like, oh, that looks pretty.
I mean,
Except for
like
maybe Triangle Project Triangle, but even then it was like pretty because it was bright. Everything else looked just fucking ugly.
And I will say, like, I
Did you see
agree.
Apex
Like this
Legends?
I agree. This stuff on the Switch doesn't look great, but I look at it as it's running on a handheld, so it's impressive for what they're getting out of a
I don't
handheld.
know, man. I'm kind of being serious here when I say that I swear I played Vita games look better than half these games. Like, I don't know what it is.
And maybe because
Maybe they're
the
just not
resolution
trying.
is better than the Vita's.
Yeah, maybe it's because the Vita was smaller, so it just looked better
Because you're not playing
inherently.
on a TV screen most of the time.
But God, that Mario Golf game looked just so bad. Like it looked really bad,
I think the
graphics
downside, like
wise.
I
It looks
think
fun.
Mario Golf would be because like the GameCube one's cool because you're going to all these like Mario themed locales.
Hmm.
They don't do that anymore. It's just
Yeah,
a golf course, which
and
is
it's
fine.
but it doesn't have any texture. And
But
like, if you're gonna do a
I
golf
want to
course, you need
golf.
like leaves and shit.
I want to golf in Donkey Kong's jungle in the treetops. Like that's cool.
Yeah. Hmm.
They don't do that though.
But man, when I was seeing like I don't know Outer Wilds and Plants vs
And that's the
Zombies and
most I've ever
Apex
seen of Outer Wilds. Like, it got
and
me interested in Outer Wilds. I will give it
yeah,
that.
and Apex Legends and stuff, I was just like, oh God, this looks
Mhm.
so bad. Like it just looks awful.
Mhm.
Like, I guess yeah.
Ninja Gaiden look. I mean, it looked fine because it looks like it did. I don't know how it looks compared on the PS4 and PC
Which yeah,
versions.
those are that Master Collection is coming to Xbox and
I
PlayStation.
would assume it looks better than the original games on PC and PS4. I would hope. I
Hmm.
hope it's not just a collection that they just slap the ports onto. Which
Well,
I mean,
if you recall, one of the Ninja Gaiden games, I think it was Ninja Gaiden 3 something, like a special
yeah,
version of it was exclusive to Wii U for a hot minute there.
hmm
So they have that relationship. I think
yeah.
weren't we just talking about Ninja Gaiden too?
I think
So
so.
that's kind of cool that it's making a pseudo
I've always
comeback.
wanted to play those, and I picked up a couple of the
Got them on Vita.
original releases for 1 and 2. But I've heard since buying those that's you want to play the Sigma versions because they fix all the bugs in those.
Yep, 1 and 2
But
Sigma are on Vita.
three
So
I've heard it's just not good all around. Like there's nothing they
mm-mm.
can really do to save that game.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the story, but I think just the gameplay is bad in that.
Yeah. So I guess we don't have it listed here, but you did mention earlier Metopia, a
Mm-hmm.
whole $59.99 and
I know
MSRP.
it's $49.99.
Oh, it's $50.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
but it's
okay,
still
okay.
$10 more than the 3DS version, which never went on sale. Um,
Oh, none of these went
I
on sale.
will say though, I don't think it should be $50, but they did do more than just port it and make it look better. Like
They
there's a
remade it.
like saw side to side screenshots and like they did a
Me
lot of
too.
work to this
Mm-hmm.
game,
Yep.
which I don't know why. I don't know why they put so
Yeah.
much work into this game. I don't
So
know why it got ported. I love that it's on the Switch. That game is great. But it's so it should be $20.
I'm over
Like
here.
it's the Miitopia, the Tomodachi Life series of games is such a weird series. I want Tomodachi Life on the Switch. Was it a good game? No, but it should be on the Switch. It should be on everything.
So I'm looking over here at Grezzo,
Yeah.
right?
hmm
And of course
They've
well
only
they
ever
made
done Zelda stuff.
well actually they've made some others I've never heard of. They've made Line Attack Heroes. That was their first game. It was
hmm
a WiiWare game in 2010. But then they did Ocarina of Time 3D, of course. And then they did Four Swords Anniversary, which came out on the DSi, whatever it was, like the digital thing.
Yeah, it was weird. That game is so weird because it was only ever available for limited times. Like, I think you had like a month to get it on the DSi, and then they re-released it on the 3DS, and you had like a week to get it on the 3DS. If you didn't
Hmm.
get it, you don't got it.
Yeah, and then they helped work on the Legend of Legacy, which is an Atlas published game. I have that game, good game. They didn't make it though.
hmm
Um, and they made Majora's Mask 3D, and then they made Triforce Heroes. They did both of those. They co-developed Triforce Heroes, not fully, but
Honestly, when they said that they were doing a medieval game with a lot of style, I thought they were gonna do another Triforce Hero style game
hmm
because like that's the whole thing about that game is style. But like it works for Mitomo too. I guess.
if
I
you
guess there's like
recall
an apt
though,
description for that.
after that, they didn't make Zelda. They made Ever Oasis.
Oh yeah.
Not a great game.
Was it not? I always thought
I
I heard good things about it.
I played it and I didn't like it. Um, I'm sure it has like 10 out of 10s and stuff. Well, it has well, this is mainly positive reviews, so who knows. Um,
Yeah, I thought I never really heard
I
anything
heard
bad
it
about
didn't
it.
set the world
I
on
never
fire,
really heard anything about it, but what I did hear was always good things about it. I thought it was
but then
uh,
they did Luigi's Mansion for 3DS,
that's right.
and then they did Link's Awakening for
They're pretty much Nintendo's Blue Point.
yeah, kind of.
Except they do a little bit more than Blue Point. I
I
guess.
don't agree.
Well, I mean, the Blue Point doesn't really make their own games though.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying because they made
Yeah,
Ever
because they
Oasis.
make their own games. Like
They made
they have a
two.
little bit more. They do a little bit more than Blue
Yeah,
Point.
but that's and then yeah, they were releasing a game.
And I
Well,
think
they
didn't
skipped somebody
Nintendo
else.
officially buy Grezzo, or
I don't think so.
I thought or something happened with that. Like or like they
I'm pretty sure they're independent,
extended their relationship with them or something like that.
probably. But yeah, they're making Miitopia for Switch now, and I think Miitopia is such a Nintendo has such a rich catalog, and there's so many games that people want. They want fucking
We
F
want
Zero, they want Star Fox, they want Metroid, they want Donkey Kong, they want all these games. Miitopia?
where
I
is
don't
Donkey?
think anyone was saying, "Hey, I really want Miitopia."
I listen. It was a curveball. I didn't expect it. No one expected it.
I
That's
feel
the
like
one thing from this direct no one expected.
I think it's just Nintendo being out of touch.
Yeah, I mean,
Honestly,
the thing is, like, it's I don't know. I'm
I
so
don't know.
conflicted about this game because I love it, but I
Yeah,
hate it. It's to say because it's such a I don't know, such a waste of resources. I guess it means with Grezzo's not giving us a Zelda game this year. That's one thing.
it's pretty darn good.
It's pretty darn good.
God.
You know, a horse. You could have Hank Hill on your team.
But yeah, no
Hank Hill's the
Grezzo.
bad guy.
Unless fucking who knows? Maybe I mean Grezzo's known to be working on multiple projects.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at their list, and every year that they release a game, they usually release two.
So I guess we could get a Zelda game too, but and the
Maybe
thing is,
there's an
like,
HD collection.
it would be cool if they gave us Oracle of Seasons and Ages in the engine for Link's Awakening.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like that would work.
I
I know
don't
there's
know
complications with
how.
Capcom,
Yeah,
but I don't know how much like authority Capcom has over those games.
yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
I'd
I'm
imagine you'd have
assuming
to give them some money of
if
some sort.
well, if I had to guess, I would. I mean, if it's like any other licensing thing, Capcom owns those games, and they just license out the Zelda
Mhm.
rights.
I
But
mean,
that's not.
it uses the same assets from Link's Awakening,
Yeah,
like a
but
lot of them.
even then, it's like when they made the game, it's like it's
Yeah,
their game. It's not Nintendo's game. Nintendo didn't make it.
I
Capcom
imagine it
did.
wouldn't be difficult for Nintendo to get to be able to do that. Nintendo and Capcom have a decent relationship with each other.
I mean, no Street Fighter, but yeah, I mean, Monster Hunter's
Look at
massive
all the
on it.
Capcom representation in
No,
Smash.
I know.
Yeah,
So,
and
um,
like the Monster Hunter, yeah, that too.
yeah, so that's happening. But other than that, like, I don't know. After going over all that, dude, I just still think this was
Hmm.
just a bad direct,
Yeah, it
especially
wasn't
for
like
waiting 500 days.
I didn't ever look at it as like, oh my gosh, it's been 500 days. There's gonna be so much to catch
Oh,
up
me
on.
neither.
I was just like, all right, it's cool.
Me
Direct.
neither. But when they were like 50 plus minutes, I was like,
Mhm.
holy shit, this is a big one. Let's
No, it
fucking
was
go.
30 minutes with 20 minutes of triangle strategy.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how it always is. There's always one RPG that Square's got to sit down and baby talk you how to play it when it comes out 2 years from that trailer.
Last time it was Bravely Default 2
Yeah, and it's still
in
not
that
out.
mini direct. It comes
It's
out
still
like
not
in a
out.
day. Actually, we'll
It's
read it in the new releases.
it's still not out. No.
But do you
Um,
have any closing comments on the direct?
I guess not so much like what was announced, but I did want to mention like that art style that Triangle Strategy has. Could you imagine like a new Pokemon game in that art style?
God, I wish.
That'd be great.
I think I tweeted today or yesterday where I was like, I want to play Pokemon so bad, but there are no good Pokemon games.
Like
Modern ones, modern
the
ones.
3D ones suck unless you're playing the GameCube ones. If you never played those and you want to play a Pokemon game,
They suck so bad. I
play
tried
the
to.
GameCube ones.
It's not even like I'm being like a poser or anything. Like
Hmm.
I own too many Pokemon games.
Hmm.
I bought Sword. I bought Let's Go. I beat Let's
I
Go.
get like Sun and Moon's good. I think it's like the only really good uh modern Pokemon game, honestly.
So many of them. I beat X too. That sucks.
X and Y was weird. I was excited for it, but yeah, after playing it, I was just like, this was like it felt shallow.
Omega Ruby sucked. They
Yeah,
ruined that game.
that's why I'm like, I'm excited for Gen 4 remakes if they announce them, but
At the same time, it's like,
do I want it in 3D?
yeah.
Like, it could look so good. Like, imagine it like how Final Fantasy 7 remake, but for Pokemon Gen
You know what the
4.
problem is? The problem is the same people that have been. And it goes back to the Miyamoto thing. Is that unlike everyone else in the game industry, who has had like new hands, new minds looking at these games
Hmm.
and innovating on them, you still have the same crusty, ancient pieces of shit from the '90s and
Hmm.
'80s being in charge of these games.
But that was the thing that was cool about like Breath of the Wild because it was a brand new team,
Mm-hmm.
so they were able to get new ideas out there, but they were still at the whim of Miyamoto's approval on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that also could stem back to like your gripes with the game that they weren't able to get everything they wanted to do in there because of that
Mm,
hierarchy.
may maybe I doubt it.
It's stunted Zelda in the past.
I doubt it, honestly.
Like
At
I
least with my specific issues with it, I doubt it
Mhm.
was because of that. I think it's because they were focused too much on the
The
world.
world, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think Miyamoto is more of a hindrance to Nintendo's progress than a benefit. Like, just the man needs to retire. Like he's done so much for Nintendo and for all of us,
He's ruining his legacy at this
but
point. He
yeah,
needs to
he's
fucking
just
get out.
like Stanley knew when to quit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he made his characters, and then he really was just kind of there as an executive producer in name only. Like I
Yeah.
think they like showed him like, look what we're doing with Spider-Man. He's like, that's great. Excelsior.
Holy shit, there's only 68 employees at Grezzo. Good for them.
Yeah, Grezzo's a small studio. Like it's like that contract with Nintendo must be nice.
Learn to optimize Link's Awakening better on Switch. Other than that, you make great work.
I honestly it's so weird that that game. I'm gonna put it on that it's their first Switch game that like something that they built from scratch rather than an engine they're building off of.
Actually, they assisted an Arc of Alchemist with Compile Heart, which was for the Switch. And no, I mean, no, yeah, it was the first game.
I like because yeah, I think if they do another one on Switch, they'll know how to do it.
Fucking, if it was running on PlayStation, I'll said it before, I'll say it again. Nintendo would thrive better as a third party.
But the thing is, though, I don't know if the games would look that much like they would have the potential to look better, but I don't know if they would look that much better. That's the
They'd,
thing with
they'd at
Nintendo.
least run better,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know because that's the thing. Like Nintendo doesn't really limit themselves with what they can do on the hardware. They just do what they want, and it's like
Well,
they
sometimes.
don't push. I don't
I
know.
feel like Odyssey was pretty
They
limited
pick
because
a
of the
nice
hardware.
style. Like they always do stylized graphics, which make it look nice on less powerful hardware. Um,
Sometimes.
yeah, I guess.
I think other times, like, well,
Like
well,
Mario Odyssey looks
actually,
great. I think Mario Odyssey looks really
yeah.
good. It looks like I think that game would look just as good on a PlayStation.
Honestly, I was playing Galaxy and I was like, this looks good.
It's like they're pretty games.
Yeah.
Like they know how to make a lower resolution game look good, like
Mhm.
timeless.
Which I do respect that because it's like obviously
It's
they're not
because
the only ones
it's
to do that,
really
but a lot
mhm,
of third parties focus, or not even. I mean, first parties too. I mean, you look at like Halo or God of War, shit like that for
mhm.
PS2 and Xbox and stuff. It's like they're going for the realistic approach. Now you go back and play those like Whew.
Because like if you got really good art direction, then it doesn't really matter how good the graphics are.
Yeah, shout out to Okami. Like,
Yeah,
that's a great one.
and like with Halo Infinite too, people are dogging it for the graphics, but it's got good art direction.
Hmm.
Like I like the style. I like how everything looks.
I like Craig. He better be in that game.
Yeah. Like could there be more detail? Yes. But it doesn't look bad. I again, it's people complaining for the reason
Um,
because like it's not like it doesn't look like a real man.
all right. Well, closing thoughts
Yeah.
on the Nintendo Direct topics. We're running at an hour 20, so that's
I thought
funny.
that was our
But yeah,
closing thoughts.
yeah, it was. I wanted the last thing to ask you was,
Uh-huh.
when do you think we'll get a next Nintendo Direct? When's the next one?
I I don't know if
We
we'll
got
get
that
like
new about E3. We got that news that it is happening. So do you think? Because
like
they've always been there.
I think they will have I don't know if we'll get though. We'll probably have a full direct. I don't know how much more info we'll get at the next one.
Because they said, and obviously they showed some that are a little further out, but they said this was the first half of 2021, which most games were up till June, which
Hmm.
means at E3 they would be releasing or imminent release, which means they would be open to say everything for the rest of the year.
I think E3 will get some more news about Zelda. Hopefully, some mention of the 35th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we'll get more news, like more better looks at the whatever Pokemon's doing this year. I know the big reason they weren't at this direct is because they're doing their own event
Mm,
like soon. So
gotcha.
I don't think they wanted to like play all their cards before their own event.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I don't know when that is, but I know it's coming up soon. Um,
Oh man.
I hope we get a remake rather than an original game this year.
Yeah.
I generally the remakes are a lot more interesting than the new main games because they do like they do more creative stuff with them since they don't have to come up with new things for that world.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes
Generally,
sense.
like the best ideas in Pokemon are locked to the remakes and they never use them again.
I just had a wild idea.
Yeah,
I bet
lay it on
you,
me.
like, after reading about that thing about them canceling the Zelda collection because of the Mario
Hmm.
collection, I bet you that we didn't hear anything because Mario's anniversary is still going on. And I
Yeah,
fucking bet you that this is why Mario is delisted after the end of March.
that's like that. Like as soon as Mario gets like bitch slapped and shot dead in a ditch on March 31st, we'll get Zelda stuff.
Like, that didn't make sense at first.
Uh huh.
And it hasn't made sense. It's like, why are you not selling this after March 31st? And why are you taking this game down after March 31st? But if they were so fucking worried about it before, which again, I don't understand that logic. It's like, obviously there's cross population, but I
Hmm.
feel like anyone who loves Zelda and loves Mario
But
is going to get both. I
but
can't see someone being like, "Oh god, which do I choose?" you know?
but what
Like,
about Fire Emblem?
what about Fire Emblem? Yeah.
It's it's
Um
it's leaving in March as well.
you're right. There goes my theory. I don't know.
I mean, that could very well be it because I mean, it's a bigger like Fire Emblem wasn't as big as like say Mario and Zelda. That Fire Emblem particularly,
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
But I wonder if that's why we I bet you that's why we didn't hear anything about it, was
Mhm.
because
I
that's
still
still
think
going on. And they're
that
probably
they're
trying
gonna,
to sell Skyward Sword.
yeah,
Like, I imagine that they were like, okay, we're gonna have to sell these separately. Maybe, I don't know,
mhm.
cart space or something.
Nah, it's not Scarspace.
I don't fucking know. Something. And they're
Uh,
like, people are not gonna buy Skyward Sword. We should announce that first, sell it first, get ourselves there, and then announce the other ones.
mhm. I bet you the Switch
Hopefully.
release will sell better than the Wii release.
You think so?
I think so, just
I don't know,
because
man. I
like
think you're overestimating how much people give a shit about that game. Like, even me, a Zelda
it's
person.
not even like as Zelda fan. I mean the hardcore are gonna buy it. That's a fact. They're gonna buy it for their because they have to have it because they have to have all the games.
Hmm.
And will they buy it immediately? I don't know. But I think there's gonna be plenty of new people on this. There's so many new gamers on the Switch that they'll be like, oh, a new Zelda game. I know Zelda's popular. I'll pick this
So
up.
I just went ahead and looked it up because I was curious. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, the second Switch game,
Mhm.
sold 4.3 million copies.
Okay.
So that's a lot.
I
That is more than the Game Boy. Well, actually, I don't know if that is
and
more than the
it's
Game Boy.
good because like I think that game hurt itself because like it looked I liked the art style they went with. I know that was kind of divisive. I think it was cool that they just took the game and made it 3D, like 1-to-1 almost.
Hmm.
Um, but the price tag I think is what hurt it. I think it would have sold much better if it was cheaper. If
I
it
think
launched at $40,
I
I think it would
think
have
it's
sold
the same
better.
thing with Skyward Sword. I think people know it's a Wii game and it's just in HD, and people are going to be like, and not only that, it's not a well liked Wii game. Like
Yeah.
that's the difference between Twilight Princess and Wind Waker in this game. The first two, I obviously you had that vocal minority that bitched about it, or like, oh, they're terrible games,
Mhm.
whatever. People actually love those games.
And
Skyward
Twilight
Sword,
Prince.
there are people that love it, but I think that is a much smaller number.
Mhm.
Like, I think the people that actually sat down,
I
dealt
think
with the motion controls, played it, and liked it, very few and far between.
I think it'll help open up the door that they are making it playable without motion controls.
I agree,
I
but
think that's
even
a
then,
kind of
like
a good sell for it.
the way that they were explaining it, even I was like, what the
I
fuck?"
mean, how else would you do it? Like, I'm thinking about like how else would you replicate how to use
You
that sword than use
put
the
in the
stick?
work and change the game.
Because you would have to change how every
Yeah.
enemy in the game works.
Yeah, like, you put in the work
Because
and change the
and
game.
that's the bad thing about Skyward Sword is it's built on these like
If you
one-on-one fights that are about how you swing the sword.
Like, if you have the audacity to charge $60 for the game,
Mhm,
put in $60 worth of, like, work, and you can keep the original game, but then maybe do, like, a classic mode where it
mhm.
does change everything to, like, Twilight Princess-esque combat, but you don't have to do motion controls anymore.
I feel like it would break the game
I don't
not
think it would.
having that sword play.
I don't think it would break it at all. I think it would you would have to
Because like I said,
redesign.
like because every enemy in that game is based on how you swing that sword.
Well, yeah, but then like it's like the I don't know. So let's say the bokoblins, right? They
Mhm.
hold their sword up to block or
For
something,
the shield.
or shield or whatever. Just make them normal bokoblins, like in every other Zelda game. You know?
But the thing is, there enemies are so far and few between because it's built on how long you spend on fighting each individual enemy. You would just blow through it. Like you
Well,
would have to
yeah.
add so many more enemies. Like they would be a fundamentally a
Well,
different game
well, like I mean, come on. Like in Zelda, there's never really that many enemies. Enemies are
Mhm.
never really a problem.
because that game is very linear versus how other 3D
It
Zelda
is
games
very
were.
linear,
Like
which
it's just you walk one way and then you unlock a shortcut and then you never ever go back to that one
yep.
part of the world you went
Hmm.
to. Um,
Yeah. No, like I totally agree. It's like you would have to fundamentally you would have to change the whole game,
mhm.
but
It would
I
be
think
almost like making it would have to be like Final Fantasy VII remake at that point,
exactly. No, that's what I'm thinking.
which
Like
Nintendo would never put that much money into, especially Skyward Sword.
I mean, that's kind of my point is like for this game, if they actually wanted to make this game succeed, I
Mhm,
think what they would have had to do is redo all the combat, make it open world because it is close to open world. I think it's
mhm.
because of the limitations of the Wii and the short development period that it wasn't, but
Yeah,
it
I
is
like they wanted it to be. I
it's
could tell they
close.
wanted that interlinked world, but
And
like
if you
it just
sat there for 2 years and be like, okay, let's do this, you could have done it and you could have made like instead of calling it Skyward Sword HD, you call it Skyward Sword Remake, and it is the story of Skyward Sword, which I've heard is awesome. And from playing
mhm.
the beginning, of like, this is cool. The characters are cool,
It's Groose.
but they took the lazy route instead, and they're basically begging. Like that's what that was. That's what the AGL Numa was doing. He was begging,
Mhm.
like, please buy this, please. It's like, wait, you're not putting in any effort, but then you're like at the same time begging your customers to
They
spend
won't
$60 on
they won't
this.
let me go home unless this sells over 4,000,000. I miss my family.
They took my keys and my
They locked
dog.
me in my office. They locked me in this big black room.
It's just there's just a Joy-Con.
They have a zapper up to my head.
Uh,
No, but yeah, it's just but like honestly, they know that game sucks.
Yeah.
There was so much they wanted to do with that game. There's so much in that game that is good,
Mhm.
but it's just not all there. And like it just I don't think it's worth the money to Nintendo or like really anyone to change that game that much.
Well, I mean,
And the one thing they
obviously,
should
there's
do,
some people that obviously will, like,
if there was
big
one,
fan game stuff, but
yeah, I mean, if there's one thing, one tiny thing they could do to add to that game was just put more substance into the sky or make it smaller
yeah.
because it's so spread out and empty. There's nothing to do in the sky. There's that clown island.
Mhm.
That's it, and the pumpkin one. But then the rest is just random treasure chests that you can only get once you find these boxes on the regular area and slash them, and then they shoot into the sky. And then you gotta go
Yeah.
find them.
Yeah.
Um, and it's real. It's I don't know. It's yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed playing what I did of it, but I'm glad I don't have to flap my hand all over the place to fly the fucking bird anymore.
It's the problem when you make a game around a gimmick
Hmm.
is that unless you really love that gimmick, it kind of ruins the game. And which I think
Yeah,
they've noticed with every Wii title is like, oh shit,
that was, I think, the
this
most
was a
egregious
mistake.
one. Like that's the
Oh
most
yeah.
egregious game for that. Like it's basically Fable Connect.
They were
Like
like,
how do
let's
you port
go.
that game?
Like a lot of the Wii games were obviously like, oh, replace the A button with
Mhm.
shaking it. But that one they went all out, and it's like you should not have done
Which
that.
I understand, like the appeal of being able to have one to one motion swordplay in a Zelda game. That's cool.
But even then, it's like it's just baffling because if you want to do one to one swordplay, like that is cool. That is
Mhm.
really cool. Like I would love, and I do love at the beginning. Like it's really awesome fighting the characters at the beginning. But when you're talking about a full game, and that's why like I think about like VR, for instance, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of games have VR experiences. Like Call of Duty, they had that one where for Infinite Warfare, there's a VR experience where you're flying in the jet.
Mhm.
And I guess Call of Duty is a bad example because that game probably would be good on VR. But either way, it's like this is cool because you're giving me the experience of playing Call of Duty in first person in VR, and it's not that long, but I'm getting this experience. Would I like to play the whole game like this? Probably not. No,
Mhm.
it's not comfortable. But it's cool that I'm doing this. Same with Zelda. If they would have just made like a Link's crossbow training, but with the 1-to-1, that probably would have been really cool. Like
Mhm.
maybe it's a sword fighting gauntlet or something, or a 5 hour experience or something where you're going through and it is the 1-to-1 sword play. It's like, okay, this is really awesome. You make your traditional game over here, but then you do the experimenting stuff over there. They just weren't thinking far enough, obviously, because they released the Wii U after, and we
Yeah.
saw what happened to
Like
that. So
the Wii was their future. That's what they saw. Like this is it. Like motion controls are it. This is gonna be
and
lit.
boy, were they fucking wrong.
Yeah. They put all their eggs in one basket, which thankfully the Wii U had very, very much toned down motion control content. It was all about using the touchpad, um,
Which I
which
will
had
agree.
neat things. Like I liked some of the stuff that the touchpad did.
Yeah.
Like I liked how the menu system in Zelda worked. It was
Hmm.
cool, especially
Dude,
Twilight Princess.
the touchpad was such a good idea. I'm not saying it was executed well because I think they cheaped out on the touchpad. I would have spent $100 more for like an actual tablet, but
Honestly, if you actively still play a Wii U, if you go to play it now, the tablet dies like in an hour.
yeah.
The battery's like completely depleted on those things at this point.
Hmm. Yeah, but it was such a good idea that if you recall, a lot of games when PS4 and Xbox One were releasing, they had the companion apps
Hmm.
to do the same thing that tablet was doing. It's like it's a good idea. It just
Yeah.
wasn't executed well, but that's
Mhm.
neither here nor there.
I
I
think
guess
the Switch could do it. Like if they just did what the Wii U did, but reverse it by having the dock communicate with the Switch,
yeah.
you could do that dual screen gameplay on the Switch. Like just add whatever they put in the gamepad into the dock,
Who
and
knows?
because it
Maybe
was so like it was crazy how little like latency there was with it too. Like that was the big thing I was impressed with it.
yeah.
Like you could play Smash Brothers on the gamepad while it's being streamed to you,
Mhm.
and you'd have just as much like advantage over it.
That's how I used to play it, was how it always
I
be on the
know you would
gamepad.
come over and you would just like use my gamepad instead.
Sit on the gamepad and watch that, and I was like, I don't know. I've always been in handheld games, so
Mhm.
makes sense. But yeah, that'll be it for the Nintendo talk. I'm sure we'll talk deep into this next. Well, maybe not. Next week is probably going to be a lot of Sony stuff with that state of
Mhm.
play.
Which
So
I forgot about. Which I hate that I took a shift tomorrow.
yeah. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and move into the new big releases and then skedaddle on out of here. Of course, like every week, we give you the newest big releases in video games across all platforms. At least those are big releases I deem big enough. This week we have 4 games, and tradition dictates that someone not named Andrew goes first. So
All
Jake,
right.
you will go first.
So our first big release for this week is Persona 5 Strikers. I mean Scramble. I mean Strikers for PS4, Switch, and PC. Join the Phantom Thieves and strike back against the corruption overtaking cities across Japan. A summer vacation with close friends takes a sudden turn as a distorted reality emerges. Reveal the truth and redeem the hearts of those imprisoned at the center of the crisis.
What a terrible, terrible description.
Ba-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum.
This says nothing about the game.
No, it's honestly, if I didn't knew nothing about Persona, I'd be like, okay.
Or if you knew Persona 5, you would not know that this isn't a JRPG.
You'd be like, okay.
It doesn't even say it's an action game.
No, no, yeah, it's cool because it's Team Ninja, right?
Yeah.
But it's nothing like the Warriors games.
Yeah. hmm
But
But it's a little bit like them.
Mhm. But it's the most different, I think, out of all of them.
It's one of the most different. Yeah. So,
Especially when you compare it to like Hyrule Warriors and
oh yeah,
Samurai
of course.
Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors.
They
Like they did
really.
a lot more with this.
What else did they released something else that was pretty. Oh, I'm thinking. I think they did the Attack on Titan game too, which was pretty different. But
Okay.
obviously, that's pretty different.
Because this is
Um,
this is still like the gameplay is the Warrior style
Well,
though.
Koei Tecmo did
Yeah.
Attack on Titan, so
Okay.
but yeah, it's the gameplay of Warriors, but it is a lot better. And this is always I've
But it
always
has a lot
said
more
that
substance.
this is what Persona. If you watch the Persona 4 anime, I haven't seen the 5 anime, but the way that they fight, obviously, in the anime, it's a lot more actiony than it is in the game. This game is what it feels like if it was like not a turn-based RPG, if that makes sense, you know? Like
Wait,
if it
does
was real life, like this is what they're actually doing. Like instead, you're touching, like you're putting inputting commands and stuff, and then they're doing the commands. Instead, you are them doing the commands. You're not
Mhm.
inputting anything. If
it's
that
more
makes
than a
sense,
menu
you
this
know.
time.
They
Um,
took away the menu, yeah, I guess,
I
and you're
I
fighting a lot more.
I just imagine though, like the anime for Persona being it's just like Yu-Gi-Oh. They just stand around and play cards, place cards down.
I mean, sometimes it's what it feels like. It's
But
good
there's
anime, by the way.
they should add the ramen girl to this game.
Yeah, maybe probably get DLC for it. Actually, probably not. It's been
You
out
know,
for a
yeah, I guess so. I think it would have been kind of cool. I bet you, like, I don't know. Maybe if it's big enough in America, they'll add some DLC.
Maybe I'm saying right now I could have made a better description in RB. I would have like the
Well, why
sequel.
didn't you, huh?
I would have said something like the official sequel to the hit JRPG phenomenon Persona 5, Persona
Comes a
5
not.
Strikers. The Phantom thieves must come together again when a vacation across Japan goes wrong. Battle through hordes of enemies in this action whatever game, like in this action
This
game,
action-packed game.
as you encounter new characters while meeting old ones, some shit like
I would
that.
have loved if you just would have put like
And then and
from the
then you
hit
could
the sequel to the hit JRPG comes not a JRPG sequel.
it doesn't even mention like there's like still like I don't know because there's like that fucking
They
social
added a
link
grappling
stuff.
hook.
Grappling hook, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, bad description. Anyway, going on fights in tight spaces for PC. A
Ooh.
stylish blend of deck building, turn-based tactics, and thrilling animated fight sequences in classic action movie settings. Learn to balance your hand, momentum, and positioning to overcome the odds to defeat your adversaries. Build your deck, control the space, and live to fight another day.
All right. I don't know nothing about this game.
Me neither.
All right.
It's in early
Uh,
access though, so
okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
All right, so our next huge ass release is Bravely Default 2 for the Switch,
Such a bad title.
which not to be confused with Bravely Second.
Such a terrible thing.
Explore a new world as you fight for survival with your customized team of heroes in the Bravely Default 2 game, a strikingly beautiful RPG adventure. Balance risk and reward in turn based battles with the Brave and Default commands. Use the Brave command to spend Brave points and string together up to 4 actions you can perform in a single turn. Use the Default command to bank your action for that turn and earn a Brave point for doing so. Follow the story of a young sailor as he sets out on a grand adventure and meets plenty of friends and foes and friends along the way.
It pisses me off how much better these descriptions are than Personas.
Yeah,
Like usually the descriptions are bad, but I think both those were pretty good at saying what the
Persona
game
is like
was.
really short too.
Yeah, and I checked both Switch and PlayStation, and they're both the exact same. I was like,
Mhm.
Atlas was just really lazy with this description.
It's Sega's fault.
Whichever, ever since John Harden left, their fucking PR team has not been fantastic. He used to be really good, or I mean, he was really good till he went on to Sega, which ironically was bought by which
Sega.
bought Atlas. I think he went to Sega, but either way, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Our final game for this week is Curse of the Dead Gods, coming out on Switch and Xbox. So Xbox, woohoo, you get a game.
Woo.
You seek untold riches, eternal life, divine powers. It leads to this accursed temple, a seemingly infinite labyrinth of bottomless pits, deadly traps, and monsters. Your greed will lead you to death, and that is not an escape. Rise to fight again. Delve deeper again. Defy the malignant deities that linger in this place. Battle through hordes of enemies in dark, cavernous passages filled with traps and secrets of all sorts. Fire spewing statues, explosives, hidden spikes, and worse. This feels like an alphabet soup. I don't
What,
even know if I'm reading
what do
anymore. I'm just saying words now.
you
Collect mystical relics and an arsenal of weapons to make yourself unstoppable. Corruption builds in you with every step. Encourage or ignore it, but each powerful curse can be a double-edged sword. All right, that wins worst
What does that mean?
description of the week. I don't know. I seriously like halfway through I thought I was having a stroke. I was like, what am I fucking saying?
Is it say something how like the Switch has more games on it than Xbox?
No, cuz I feel like the Switch really became that shovelware console.
Hmm.
So many bad mobile games are on Switch.
It seems like a lot of people are taking effort to port stuff to it now, though. Not
I
so much
think
like the big stuff like Call of Duty because like they don't care. Um,
it's all the smaller guys. And
mhm.
I think that's less about Switch and more about
Install
Microsoft
base.
and Sony.
Oh yeah.
I think Microsoft and Sony don't really care about the smaller games anymore because they make so much money off the bigger games.
Hmm.
Because if you remember, they used to care a lot.
Yeah, Xbox
Obviously,
used to be
like,
great for well, not it wasn't, but it was like a really easy to get on platform for indie games, but they
well,
aren't very
yeah,
good
and then
developers.
well, they had like the Summer of Arcade and shit like
Mhm.
that,
But
and then
they really screwed
PlayStation.
over developers on those though.
Yeah, and then PlayStation, remember at the beginning of PS4, they were big into like the PlayStation Hearts
Mhm.
Indies movement, things like that. But they both just stopped caring because
Oh yeah.
make money there. And then
Nintendo is like, "Come to us.
Nintendo's like, we don't have games.
Come, milady. Come, milady."
Third parties don't work here, so please, Indies,
Also,
please.
Nindies, it sounds cool. You know, it works. Nindies. There you
Every
go.
time there's an Indies thing, I just don't care. But I can't talk about
Mhm.
Nintendo more. I'll fucking die. Um. All right. Well, there you go. That's pick of the week. Persona 5
Yeah, same here.
easily.
Well, I
So
don't know. Fights in tight spaces sound sense.
it looked interesting, but I mean, Persona 5 Strikers all day.
Yeah,
I bought that game twice, 3 times actually.
Thrice. Yeah, and you
So
bought a separate steelbook.
yeah. So
You
well,
silly.
that'll do it for the end of our show. Thank you for listening. If you stuck around for that hour and 45 minutes of Nintendo
Direct talk.
talk,
Yeah,
yeah, direct talk.
we
I'm
had
kind of
some good
kind of
conversation.
glad that I split this off to its own thing because I felt like there's a lot to talk about with it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if you enjoyed that and like what we're doing here, we totally appreciate a positive rating on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to the show. If you didn't like it so much and want to give us a negative rating, then we understand, but try not to do that. Also, make sure to check out the YouTube channel at youtube.com/thatoneandrew, where full recordings of this podcast are posted along with a plethora of other videos. We also have our own very own Patreon. So if you would so inclined to support us over there monetarily, head over to patreon.com/thatoneandrew. Everything is appreciated. Um, yep, Jake, thank you for joining me. And
Of
like I said
course.
before, we will be back hopefully this weekend. Who knows? We're very busy people, but you'll get your podcast sometime. Um, I'm that one, Andrew. Ciao.
Bye bye.